Every single silver coin in this bag is fake. And while it's very easy for me to be able to check and test these, it's not the same for everybody. And very recently, I have a coin shop owner who had somebody come in and try to sell him over $25,000 worth of fake gold, silver, and platinum. Now, today we're going to be joined by Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion, who is going to tell us this story and how he detected that they were fake and what happened when he told the people that brought it to him that all of their gold, silver, and platinum was fake. So let's not wait any longer and get Josh in here and find out exactly what happened with all of that fake gold, silver, and platinum. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe and help us continue to grow. My channel is sponsored by sdbullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to sdbullion.com/new. Josh, how has it been these last few weeks, my friend?
Things have been going great. A lot of activity in the shop, both customers buying and selling. But I think the outlook for the collectible market and the precious metal investing market for the future is pretty good because we have a wide variety of individuals coming in on a daily basis purchasing. So I think there's a lot of excitement around metal investing right now.
You know, I'll be honest with you, and I definitely want to get into a topic that the title and thumbnail of this video is going to be about, but getting on to that first, I'm really excited about 2024. And I think a lot of that has to do, like, I haven't felt this much excitement about metals in a while. And it's not because I feel like spot price is going to do anything magical, next year or anything like that. I have no idea. It could go down. But just seeing where the premiums have been coming down on everything, I mean, it feels good to buy again, because when you were buying at 5 or 6 over spot for rounds, and in some places over $20 an ounce and over spot for eagles, you place the order because you want the silver, but it really didn't feel good. And seeing these premiums where they are today, it starts to feel good to place those orders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Those times were a little disheartening, and not just for the retail consumer, but for dealers like myself and wholesalers, because the prices we had to pay too were astronomical and not in line with anything we were ever used to previously. So it is nice to see premiums come down, because I think truly it benefits everybody. I wasn't getting rich off of high premiums, and neither were the wholesalers. So, I mean, you do just as well as a dealer when premiums are low versus when they were high. So I think it's good because it'll get a lot more activity in the marketplace.
Yeah, and I'm not, I don't know where you're coming from, but I would argue that you might even do better as the premiums are low, because if someone has so much money to spend, the more silver they buy, the more you make. Because if you're making $1 an ounce and they can only buy 20 ounces, that's $20. But if they can buy 40, now you're making 40 off the same money. You know what I mean? So it makes more sense.
That is absolutely true. Yep.
But anyway, guys, the reason we have Josh on today, this is a big one. Josh had somebody come in yesterday with, I'm going to throw some pictures up on the screen for you guys to see, but a bunch of fake gold bars, platinum bars, silver bars. Josh, what the heck was that about? And what did he say when you told him they were fake? What's going on there?
Well, I'll go through the story. The shop was quite busy. I had a couple of customers in here, and I can see out my window, so I see when somebody pulls up and get out of the car, and two gentlemen got out of a vehicle, and they came in, and I noticed they were carrying a wooden box, an unusual looking old wooden box that almost had like a drawer in it. I would guess it to be antique. So I was kind of intrigued, and they were just kind of browsing around while I was finishing helping some other customers. It became their turn, and they came up to the counter. I said, "Well, how can I help you guys?" I said, "Oh, well, we got some stuff we want you to look at. We want to sell it." I said, "Okay, no problem." So I grab out my jewelry trays and my jeweler pads, spread them out so they can open up this box and show me what's inside. Well, they pull the drawer open, and right away, I mean, I can see what I believe to be gold and possibly silver and other stuff in there, and they start putting stuff out on the pads. Well, I pick up the first gold bar, and immediately red flags are going up for me because, and you put the picture up by now, I assume, but the Perth Mint quote-unquote gold bars that they had, the gold bar itself appeared a little bit too thick. Now, honestly, 5 years ago, that bar might have fooled me, but I've seen so many of them now. But without saying anything, I let them take everything out. I put everything out on the tray and organized it. I pulled out my Sigma Metalytics verifier, and then I started to have a chat with the guys. I said, "Oh, so, how did you guys acquire these?" "Oh, it was my inheritance from my grandpa." Okay. And these were guys probably in their 30s, a little bit younger than me. timeline wise, sure, that could have been legitimate, but looking at these bars, none of them appear to be vintage, with the exception of the quote unquote Engelhard silver bars. Um, so I start testing them on my machine one at a time, and they're watching me and having a conversation about the machine. The guy said, "Wow, that machine is badass. What does that cost?" And we're just having normal back and forth banter. All the while I'm testing each piece individually. Every piece is failing the tests. He doesn't realize that because he doesn't know how to read the machine. So he's asking, "Are they real?" I said, "I'll get to that." So after I test every piece, I look up at him and I say, "Every one of these pieces that belong to your grandpa are counterfeit." He didn't even blink.
Wow.
I mean, he didn't seem upset. There was platinum too. I didn't even mention that. So, I tested gold, I tested platinum, I tested silver. I said, "Do you mind if I take a picture of them?" "Oh yeah, go ahead, take some pictures." So in hindsight, I should have taken video because
Yeah.
we could have used that for B-roll footage for this video. But I didn't want to press my luck too much. So I took a couple photos, and then I actually explained to him why they're fake and how I can tell. And I said, these, especially these Perth, there were 50-gram gold bars, there were 1-ounce gold bars. I said, these are contemporary counterfeits. These are new. So if your grandpa truly owned these and they were he purchased them from somebody, grandpa got duped. And he said, "Well, my grandpa had more money than he knew what to do with, so he might have. Yeah, I'm sure he had no problem spending a bunch of money on this stuff."
So
Once again, kind of red flags. I honestly didn't feel that they were being honest with me. But go ahead. You had a question?
no, it's all right. So they said that they inherited it from their grandpa, but when you told them that it was fake, it didn't even bother them. It didn't phase them at all.
No,
See,
no.
see
And
that's
that
that.
was the biggest tell for me. I can usually read people pretty well, and honestly, when they walked in, they weren't real clean, well kept. They look kind of rough. Not that that matters, but immediately I kind of had my eye on them because I do get some interesting people in here, and some people try to shoplift and things like that. But they were very nice, very polite. They didn't argue with me when I told them everything was fake. And then we get to the point. I said, "Well, I really hate counterfeits being out there in the public marketplace. Would you consider selling these?" And he said, "Well, maybe. What would you give me?" "Well, I'm not going to pay a lot of money to buy fakes because what am I going to do with them other than use them for education and then destroy them?" So I said, "Well, I can pay you $50, and I'll use this for education and then I'll destroy them. So someone like your grandpa isn't going to get duped in the future if these end up in other hands." "No, we'll keep it." So then they start boxing it up. I wasn't going to try to offer them any more money. Quite honestly, I don't think there was any amount of money I could have comfortably offered them that would have bought those fakes, unless I were to pay them at least melt value for what they had everything been real, and that amounts to $25,742. So I think they came in thinking they were going to get a lot of money from me because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
So, while they were packing up, I quickly took some more photos that aren't as well centered, I guess, just so I could have more photos, and I have the guys on camera. They left, and while I was dealing with that, I had other customers in here waiting their turn, and they overheard everything. Those guys left, and then we had a conversation about it with the other customers, and they said, "Yeah, I bet you they knew they weren't real," and it was just really an unfortunate situation, and I'm disappointed that they walked out the door. But having said that, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should have offered them more money to buy the fakes, but quite honestly, like I said, unless it would have been thousands of dollars, they weren't going to sell it because they're going to bring it to the next town probably, and the next town, or so immediately then, after talking with the other customers in shop, I said, I got to make a couple quick calls. So while they were browsing, I called a coin dealer about 50 miles away from me. I called another one that's in the next major city about 100 miles away. And I called a local guy too that has a variety shop, and sometimes people bring gold and silver coins to him as well. Talking with that variety shop owner in Minot here, I found out that he bought some carded gold bars from somebody just a few days ago. And after I told him what I just experienced in my shop, he's really concerned that they are fake, because he had no idea you could fake a gold bar and fake the card, the assay card also.
Yep. And
Oh,
you can even use a real assay card and just put a fake bar in it too.
absolutely. So there's fakes going around, and it's not just in Minot, North Dakota. So I guess I just caution, everybody watching, beware, buyer beware. Make sure you buy from reputable people.
Yeah.
There's fakes that float around all over the place, and it is truly unfortunate, and that's never going to end. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no way to make it end.
no, it's not. It's actually getting worse because with the internet and, Timu and, all the other websites before that, it was like AliExpress. You could get this stuff off of wish.com. And, I think people like that, and I don't actually know. Obviously, I wasn't there. I don't know the people. I've never talked to them or even seen them. But, I imagine that there's a lot of people that will take advantage of the fact that they can get that stuff off of those websites and then use it to try and fraud others. And that's the problem. People say,
100%.
yeah, well, I have people every time I talk about fakes and I talk about getting from those websites, they say, well, obviously if you're only paying $5 for it, it's a not real. I'm like, yeah, duh, that's not the problem. The issue is the people that then try and sell it for its real value and pass it off to someone who doesn't know any better. And I really worry about that variety shop now that you talk. I would love to know, if you ever find out if those are fake, just let me know. But I
Yeah,
can't.
I told him he can bring him into me, and I'll test him for him. So whether or not he does, we'll see.
Dude, I bet he's afraid to, honestly, because
He might be.
yeah,
I'm sure there's a little bit of embarrassment on his part, and hey, we've all been there.
yeah.
But he really thanked me for reaching out to him, and he's going to be a lot more cautious. I flat out told him that I know several coin shops in the state of North Dakota that refuse to buy gold bars from the public because there's so many fakes out there, and they don't have the equipment to properly test them. And he was shocked at that because, like I said, he was floored that you can fake a gold bar on an assay card. I mean, it all looked legit, and he's knowledgeable in this stuff. He's a stacker himself and a collector. I mean, he's a customer of mine. I mean, he a lot of knowledge, but he had no idea about these fakes. So it is disheartening. And I don't know how many he bought or what he paid, but um, that doesn't make for a good Christmas for him.
No, it really doesn't. And I noticed, by the way, and I showed that B-roll footage as well, that you have, because, guys, I showed some B-roll footage for the record. That bar right there was not from those guys. That's another fake bar that he had, that he used. And I wanted to show it because I wanted to show that he uses the Sigma Pro. And I can't imagine a coin shop that's buying 1 ounce gold or any gold, to be honest with you, across the counter without having some sort of test. And I don't know. It just
There's a lot of them.
I know, and in this day and age, it doesn't make any sense to me. I would scrutinize every piece. I can see people getting lax on silver. Like if you test, let's say someone brings in, like 5 tubes, and you randomly spot test 5 or 6 of them, and you're like, and they all pass. I could see that happening. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I don't know. Don't judge me. I'm just saying I could see that. But doing it on a, when it's $2,000 per bar or $2,000 per, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm overly cautious. But getting back on topic here, it's really disheartening to somebody, especially someone getting into this in the first place, to know that it's so easy, for those to be faked, and people are just so bold to walk into a coin shop and do it. And again, I don't know those people that walked into your shop, but I have a sneaking suspicion that you probably weren't the first people that told them it's fake. So my question,
Quite possibly.
right? So my question is, let's say you were the first person that told them it's fake, and then they go to another shop and try and sell it and don't say anything. Like, I understand that bars, because looking at all those, you have platinum bars, silver bars, gold bars. There's no actual like U.S. currency or anything like that sitting in the pile, but that's still got to be illegal on some level, right? I mean, is that something you could report to the authorities? How's that work?
Well, that's a good question. I guess I could, but unfortunately, I have none of their information. And that's why I tried, well, relatively hard to buy something from them. And I don't think I even mentioned this, but I did say I would buy one of each of the bars, so 3 bars for $50, because I didn't want to sell it all. And I just wanted to get something, because if I was able to buy something, now I get their ID, and now I have their information. And now I can share their information with whomever I need to, whether it be other dealers or their authorities or whatnot. But they weren't going to sell. So, I mean, like I said, I don't think there was any amount of money realistically I could have paid for their fakes, other than close to what it would have been had they been real.
Yeah.
So, but I always try to do that when I get fakes that walk in the shop. There's many times that people, no, I think it's real, or you're wrong, and they'll snatch it up and walk out. But I try hard to buy it, and most of the time, I don't get a feeling, and feelings can be wrong, of course, but I don't get a feeling that they're intentionally trying to deceive. A lot of people are genuinely shocked. Well, my grandpa had this in his collection for 30 years. I said, well, things have been faked for a long time. I mean, there was an 1893 S Morgan silver dollar that walked in the shop one day, and it was in an airtight, it was in like a canvas, or not a canvas, but like a leather satchel, and inside that it was in a box, and I mean, it was like well protected, I guess, for the whoever initially had it. So after they opened the box, pull it out of the satchel, hand me the airtight with the 1893 Morgan in it, I looked right away and knew it wasn't real. And then I went through and showed them why. Took it out of the airtight. It didn't even test 90% silver on the Sigma. So, but even after all that, they were adamant, oh, it can't be fake. My grandpa's had this forever. So they walked out with it. But like I said, most people, I can usually get a feel on whether or not they know what their stuff is, or if they actually truly believe it to be real. And these guys that were in yesterday, like I said, they didn't even bat an eye when I told them it's all fake.
Yeah, if I found out I had $25,000 worth of fake gold that I thought was real, I would be visibly upset. So I think, like you said, that's a really big telltale sign that they probably knew. Maybe they were even the ones that got it knowing it was fake, and they figured they were going to pawn it off or something. I don't know. Again, I haven't met them, but I would be upset. Like, you would be able to tell that. I was like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a lot of money. So
for sure.
So let me ask you this, for the viewers, Josh, obviously not everyone can afford a Sigma. I don't even recommend the Sigma regular, but the Sigma Pros I do recommend if you're buying and selling a lot of gold and silver. But your average Joe stacker can't afford those things. They're way too expensive. And what do you recommend they do, other than obviously just sticking with reputable dealers? Outside of that, what else can they do to help them just prevent themselves from getting fakes in their stack?
Well, you've touched on it few times in your videos. Get a ping tester.
Yep.
Ping tester, and there's apps that you can download. I don't personally have those. I've had many people, because of your videos, ask me if I sell ping testers.
Yeah.
So, but I think there's a lot of good things that can come of those, and you've shown in your videos, and you might even want to link it in the description.
Well,
to get to that info out there.
Well, what I'll say about the ping testers is don't get me wrong, I do recommend getting one because it makes it a lot easier. You can go through a lot more coins more quickly. But you don't need it. Like, the apps are free, at least they are on Android. I don't know much about the iPhone. And you can just balance the coin on the end of your finger and whack it with a big pen. Like,
right.
The ping tester's not required to do a ping test, but it does make it a lot easier to go through them a lot quicker. It certainly does. So if you're going through a lot, but the problem is, all right, so here's this question for you, Josh. All of that stuff that guy brought in yesterday were bars, and the bars don't work on a ping tester. So what do they do then?
Well, it makes it tough if you don't have the equipment. I mean, honestly, like I told you, as they were taking them out, visually, just because I have, I guess, the practice and experience in dealing with these on a daily basis, I could visually see, as I said, those 1 ounce Perth Mint gold bars were too thick. So, that was a red flag for me. The font on the Scottsdale silver bars wasn't proper. The font and the look of the Engelhard silver bars weren't proper. And the fact that they were all encapsulated, with the exception of there were a couple of little, almost like gold buttons, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was encapsulated in a plastic holder. And not that that's a red flag in itself, but a lot of times counterfeits are put in capsules and holders like that because that's just one more step the person has to go, take it out of the capsule to verify it, and not everybody will think to do that.
That makes sense.
It's really tricky. I mean, I would encourage anybody, don't buy gold bars or platinum bars or silver bars from a guy in a dark alley in a trench coat. I mean, go to a reputable coin dealer or buy from a reputable online dealer, because there's not a lot of easy ways to test bars. Of course, you could do a magnet test, and it's kind of funny because I did do that on one of the bars. After I told them they were all fake, I said, well, I wouldn't be surprised if these are magnetic. And one of the guys the friend, I'm assuming, of the gentleman who said he got it from his grandpa. He said, "Oh no, they're not magnetic. I tested them." So I take one out of the capsule. I grab my magnet. I hovered over it, jumps onto my magnet. He said, "Oh." I said, "Well, yeah, you obviously didn't have a strong enough magnet, and this plastic case was thick enough so it counteracted the magnetism and it didn't stick." So there you go. I mean, it's doing extra steps, I guess. Obviously, if it sticks to a magnet, it can't be silver, it can't be gold, it can't be platinum. But that's not a definitive test either, because those gold bars weren't magnetic.
Yeah. And silver plated copper is going to react to magnetism the same way silver will, because they're both diamagnetic.
Right. And a similar, on the Sigma even.
Yeah, copper.
Yeah, and you've shown that.
Yep, yeah. Absolutely. You have to make sure you do that dimensions testing as well using the Sigma Pro for sure.
Yeah, so there's things you can do, but none of these tests are 100% accurate. I don't think. I mean, ping tests probably are pretty damn close.
Yeah,
but, and that's an easy one everybody can do.
The beauty of the ping test is, like, especially let's say it's an eagle or a maple. They have a very specific thickness and diameter, so you can test with everyday home tools. You can get a pair of calipers. I don't know why they call it a pair of calipers, because it's one device, but that's what they call it.
Yeah, pair of pliers, pair of underwear.
Exactly. But you can get some calipers, you can get, do the ping test on your phone and then check the dimensions. And if it all passes, you're good. Like, there's nothing to worry about there.
Right.
But that, again, only works on those, those coins that have that specific, that specific diameter, that specific thickness. On rounds, they could be a little bit, smaller in diameter, but a little bit thicker. So it's a little bit more difficult there. But the good ping coin apps, like, there are ones that will let you put in the diameter of the coin, and it will know what it's supposed to sound like based on the diameter. So that's something else you can do. So you can actually use the calipers on it, put the diameter into your app, and then ping it, and for the generic rounds, and it should help with that. So I don't know. Well, Josh, that's definitely an interesting story, and I would love updates. So, like, if you find out from that variety shop if their gold bars were real or fake, or if you hear from some of the dealers that you called, I would love to know an update. So keep us informed if you wouldn't mind. I'm sure people watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely like to know. And for you guys watching, guys, be careful. I mean, that's all you can do. As Josh said, if you don't have a way to test it, or if you don't feel comfortable testing it, like if you're a new stacker and you're like, oh, what's this ping test and all this other stuff, and you just aren't comfortable doing any of that, just stick to reputable dealers. That's all you can do. Go to a dealer that has a Sigma and have him show you it passed the test. I'm sure most would, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So we'll let it there. Josh, thank you for joining me. Guys, leave a comment down below. And also, do me a favor. Go check out Josh's channel, Minot Coin and Bullion. I'm going to put a link down below. Fabulous channel, fabulous coin shop. Give him a call sometime or check out his website. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. And Josh, thank you for joining me, man. I really appreciate you being here. So while it was great to be joined by Josh today, this story is definitely a sad one, because it's things like this that keep new stackers out of stacking. People may want to get into stacking gold or silver, but they're worried about getting fakes, and I get it. I mean, this really adds fuel to the fire of the crypto guys who say that, well, at least I know my Bitcoin is not fake. And that's really unfortunate, because gold and silver are a great way to store your wealth, and I personally just love it. But yeah, I totally get the nervousness. So make sure you're sourcing it from a reputable place. Make sure that you have some way to test it and learn how to use those tests. For example, the pocket pinger that we talked about is actually quite cheap, or you can even do it for free with a Bic pen, the edge of your finger, and an app that you can get on your phone. So I recommend at least going that far. But guys, I would love to know also if you have any stories. So do me a favor in the comments if you've had any issues with fakes in your past, or if your local coin shop has told you stories, or whatever it may be. I would love to know those, so leave them down below. Make sure you are subscribed, and if you are interested in why I am currently stacking things like 90% silver, in fact, I just bought a $50 face value bag of 90%. That video is right here, and it's the next one you should watch. Guys, thank you again for joining me, and we will see you next time.